today from our facilitator. Just like has been publicized and has gone viral, the person to facilitate today's meeting is going to be no other person than Dr. Femi Adebola, my personal person, my friend. He holds a Master of Public Policy from Oxford University. He trained originally as a medical doctor. What he does today shows how versatile he is. He's a management consultant. He was a former Ife University Medical Student Association. He also was a 2016 Mandela Washington Fellow, and also is a multiple recipient of the 2019 Commonwealth Scholarship, where he got a scholarship to study in Imperial College in London. And finally, he decided to go to Oxford on the African Initiative for Governance Scholarship, where he studied Masters of Public Policy. It is my privilege to invite upstage no other person than the facilitator of today's meeting, Dr. Femi Adebola. You have the lectern. You can mute yourself and take the stage. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Benga. Good evening, everyone. I'm in Abuja, Nigeria, so it's evening here. And then good day to those joining from other parts of the world. Yeah, thank you, everyone. It's my pleasure being here today. First, let me say that I don't know it all. Elena, just like every other person. I've had my own share of, I mean, it's okay for Benga to reel out, quote unquote, what seems like my successes, right? But the truth is, I've also had my own share of failure. Just to confirm, please, can everyone hear me?
Loud and clear, we can hear you, sir. Right on.
All right, thank you. Yeah, thank you. So, so what I'm going to just be walking us through today is what I've adapted, for my own self, and also what I've also used in helping people to also secure scholarships, right? And so it's just a guide I use, and I'm hopeful that at the end of this session, we'll be able to find it useful and to be a good use of our time. So without taking much of our time any further, I would move on to today's discussion. Thank you. If at any point in time you have a question, please feel free to use the raise hand function. Sorry, excuse me. Feel free to use the raise hand function on Zoom, and I would pause to take questions. Intermittently, I would also, pause the presentation so that we can have some reflection. It's going to be an interactive section, and I hope we all would give this a maximum attention. So let's go. All right. Nelson Mandela once said, "A good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. But when you add to that a literate tongue or pen, then you have something very special." What my interpretation of this quote is that, we all have, I'm sure for you to even aspire that, you want to go to grad school, through scholarship, it means that you have good head at the very minimum, and to a very large extent, a good heart. So what that means is that, yes, as good as these characteristics are, it's sometimes, as a lot of us have seen, not enough, to get us the scholarship or to get us the admission we really desire. But when you're able to express yourself in a convincing manner, in this case, a literate pen, which is your writing, then you have something very special. And people would definitely be able, to put their money, like you would say, put your money where your mouth is, right? So, people would back you up with money. in terms of funding for your grad school, right? So I would really like this to be interactive, right? So I just feel like I'm not one who is used to, just giving speeches, right? I really want people to interact. So please and please and please, speak up, raise your hand, and let me know, if if something is not clear to you. All right. So next slide, please. All right, thank you. So so I'm just going to use this to discuss, right? And that's for those who were not here, not be able to use the slide. I mean, I'm just kidding, right? But just given the little time I had to prepare this, I had to, come up with this, quickly just to serve as a guide, to this discussion. So the first thing is this: you want to write scholarship, you want to write a scholarship essay, you want to apply for scholarship. We all know we need to be able to get, we need to be able to identify, which school, which course, and which funding opportunities are available. Now, I think this is the first step, and it's actually very critical. So I know people would say, oh, Chevney scholarship is out. I want to apply for Chevney, right? I'm not sure if that's the first step, you should be taking. Again, there is no one cap fits all. So this is just a guide around the Commonwealth Scholarship. I then go to Commonwealth and I start picking a course. As good as that may be, I would rather say you first identify the course and the school you really want to go to, right? And then let that guide the funding opportunities you are searching for. So for example, if you want to do MBA, which is the Master of Business Administration, right? I know the Chevney Scholarship will fund you up to a maximum of about £20,000. I'm not exact, maybe 18,000 or 20,000, somewhere within that range. However, for most business schools, the fees range from 40,000 to 50,000 pounds. Oxford, for example, is about 55,000 pounds last I checked. So you can imagine, if you go and apply for a Chevney scholarship, and the course you really want is the MBA, you already have a funding deficit of about 30,000 pounds, right? Now, however, if you had done your research properly and you have been able to identify a school, you identify the course, and then while doing that, you'll have found out that there are other opportunities that would definitely provide the 50,000 thereabout, or the total school fees, in terms of scholarship opportunities. So I think it's actually very, very critical that we are able to really get the course and then the school. Now, the school is also important because there are scholarship opportunities that are peculiar to schools, right? So, and some schools have more endowments, than others. What that then means is that if your school has more endowments, then they are able to give more students, more scholarships compared to schools that don't have endowments. And one of the things I've then found out, from my own experience and also from other people's experience, is actually that the top schools have more endowments, and so therefore they have more funding. For example, the program I did at Oxford, about 70% of the class had one form of funding or the other. So you can imagine that. So what that then says is that for such schools, the hurdle is not necessarily getting scholarship. The hurdle is more around getting the admission. And so if I would again use the program I went for at Oxford as an example, your scholarship application is not even, or funding is not part of the initial conversation, right? So everybody applies, whether you secure funding, whether you have funding or not. And then after people have secured their admission, that they are then able, then the funding discussion comes up, right? And they start telling people, okay, apply for this opportunity of funding, apply for that opportunity, or you've been nominated for this or that. So that's, buttresses how important, identifying your school, identifying your courses, and then layering on that, on those, the funding opportunities, tailored to meet the school or the course. And then even within the school system too, right? Depending on the school you are going to, there are also opportunities, available based on maybe if your university operates a collegiate system, based on the college, you are going to in that school, right? So it's actually very, very important, that we're able to do take this first step. I don't know if anyone has a question at this point before I move, into the next bucket. Any questions, please? All right. I'm not sure anyone has any question, but so I would move on. Also, so having said that, I would go to the next question, to the next bucket, which is deep diving into the scholarship opportunities, right? So, like I said, once you've been able to sort out the school, the course, and then you've been able to identify the funding opportunities, then it's always good, to take a look at the different scholarship opportunities and then do your own priority assessments, right? So, I would use different common scholarship opportunities to discuss this. So the first is the Commonwealth Scholarship, right? So the Commonwealth Scholarship is open typically to citizens of the Commonwealth nation, which are countries colonized, by the UK government. So what then that means is that it provides opportunities across different courses and different universities within the UK. There are two types, at least, that are applicable for master's program. You have the Commonwealth Scholarship, which is basically decided where you are nominated by a body, right, and recommended for the scholarship. And then the other is the Commonwealth Share, which is basically a university, which is like partnership, which is a partnership between the university and Commonwealth, the Commonwealth. The university nominates you in that instance for the scholarship, and then the scholarships are awarded by the Commonwealth. Now, for the first group, for the first one I spoke about, which is the Commonwealth Scholarship itself, for most Nigerians, it's the Federal Scholarship Board that actually does the nomination. Again, there are other bodies that could fit in that. It's be good to take a look at the website and see the nominating institutions. But for the federal government scholarship, Federal Scholarship Board nomination, they typically put out the adverts after you've submitted the scholarship online. So you'd apply on the Commonwealth's website, submit your essays and all of that. And then at some point in that essay, on the form, you would have to fill the Federal Scholarship Board as your nominating agency. And the Federal Scholarship Board then does an interview. And following that interview process, people are shortlisted, right? So I applied for the Commonwealth Scholarship and attended the interview process by the Federal Scholarship Board. And eventually I was nominated by the Federal Scholarship Board for the Commonwealth Scholarship, right? And that was for the International Health and Tropical Medicine program at the University of Oxford, right? Which is typically conducted by the I think the embassy, in Nigeria. And then following that interview process, if people then make it through the interview process, they then get awarded, right, the scholarship. So again, I applied for Kevlin and I was never shortlisted. So that's also to say that not every time, it's